Good morning, it's time for a cup of joe.
I want me a cup of joe, first sip in the morning.
Well, good morning, everyone. Let's read some comments today. Jack Bulla says, I thought you were gay or religious. Answers that question. Oh, Jack, this really made me laugh. Thank you for that. I guess I must give off just like a strange vibe. Like something's off about this guy. Either he's like gay or like religious. Well, Jack, I'm glad to answer your question.
Cup of joe.
The 22726 says, my latest lesson has been to never stock up, even on things I thought were essentials. I bought a whole lot of soap recently, and they turned out to be really melty and hard to clean off the sink. I always seem to regret bulk buying no matter how essential it seems. Oh my gosh, I'm the same way. Bulk is not the way to go. The problem with buying in bulk is, and obviously as a minimalist, I want to stay minimal, but at the same time, I also want to save money. So if something's on sale or something like that, I might think, oh, I'm going to buy a lot of these. But the problem with kind of bulk buying like that is that life changes on a dime. You never know when your circumstances are going to change or something like that. Like I know for me, I've purchased food in bulk. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love these like chips or crackers or something. And they're half off right now. I'm going to buy tons of them. Oh, it's going to be such a good money saver. And then like not that much long later, I'm like, I'm kind of sick of these. I don't want to eat them anymore. And now I have tons. So for food, I know taste might change or something like that. Or just circumstances. Maybe you have to move, or maybe you found a product that's even better. So you buy a bunch of something all at once, and then you're like, oh, well now I found this other one that's actually a lot better. So I don't want these, but now I have tons to use up. So yeah, I agree. The 22726. Bulk buying is for the birds.
Cup of joe.
Kiabi says, minimalism is so exciting. The more I get rid of, the more I feel like I'm finding who I really am underneath it all. Kiabi, oh, you're speaking to my heart. That's exactly how I feel. It's like I've never felt more myself in my entire life than I do now. And I feel like I'm keep getting closer and closer to who I truly am, to who God's truly calling me to be. It's so strange because it seems like all the stuff that we buy and surround ourselves with is supposed to like represent us or like be indicative of who we are and how we feel about life. But really it just seems like the less that I have, the more that I feel like I am who I truly am, who I'm truly called to be, and the more I can know who I truly am.
Cup of joe.
Finding a Way says, many families in other cultures live together as the norm, in one home to raise children and such, share resources, etc. Exactly, that's kind of the lifestyle that to me sounds just really great and feels really good to me. Like living with relatives, grandparents, cousins, siblings, and all kind of raising the kids together. I like that tribal feel of like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you take care of this person? Like, for instance, living across the street from my parents-in-law, we do a lot of babysitting swapping. So, and we live actually down the street from Aaron's brother. It's a big family affair over here down in the farmlands. And it's always like, hey, can you watch my kids today? I have to go do this. Hey, can you watch my kids? Hey, can you watch grandma? Like everyone's always interchanging. No one's thinking of like getting paid or like who owes who or anything like that. And yeah, I totally love that. I dig it.
Cup of joe.
Stephanie R says, do you have a new timeline to be out of debt? No, Stephanie. Aaron and I have not really sat down and crunched our numbers and got our budget together yet. I think I've said before, we don't really struggle with like overspending or like going out to eat or buying impulse items. So it never feels that urgent to set a budget, but I definitely know we need to. We're hoping to do that this weekend. It's just so hard for us to ever get like serious amount of time alone together. So no, but I will let you know as soon as I know.
Cup of joe.
Milk Tea Machine says, I noticed there were no coats or jackets. What climate do you live in? Well, the thing is, I just didn't include those. So I guess I should have explained a little bit more about my one bag. Everything is not necessarily in my one bag because I do still have like a winter coat. I have shoes. I have winter boots. Those are things I'm not keeping in my bag because normally during the winter, bye Jenny. Normally during the winter season, those are just going to be on me all the time. Like if I'm going somewhere, I need the winter boots or the winter coat, I'm going to be either wearing it or it's going to be off and drying somewhere. Those aren't something I'm really going to keep in my bag, and I don't have room for them in my bag, even if I could. I've seen online, like there's these awesome like winter coats that you can like stuff into a little bag and put in your backpack. Like, oh my gosh, there's so many cool like minimalist things that are cost money and I want them, but I need to do without, right? Right. Kim B says, I also agree that families should help each other, but I'm sad that you don't believe in socialism. What about those people that don't have a family to help out in times of need? Or those people that have a family that are not affluent enough to help? I believe that people who don't need socialism because they are privileged enough to have a money and a support network have a moral responsibility to give less privileged people the same support. Okay, so you make some really good points, Kimby. First of all, before I answer this, I just want to say I try not to talk a lot about politics on this channel, not because I don't find it interesting or not because I don't care, because I want the main focus of this channel to be how we can change our own personal lives and what we can do to change our lives on a day-to-day basis, habits, just stuff like that. So while I'm interested in politics, I don't talk a lot about it, so I don't want to like create a huge debate here or really get too much into it. But I actually do believe a lot in the socialist lifestyle, like kind of how I'm living with my family now. I also believe that can extend out to communities like towns or church communities, that everyone who has should help those who are in need. I completely agree. We have a moral responsibility to do that. The thing that I'm against, I guess, is government imposed socialism. I don't think the government should force me to give my excess money to people who need it. I agree with you 100%, however, that I am morally obligated to do so. So does that make sense? Like, I completely agree with like living in community, sharing resources, all that stuff. And yes, I'm sure it's my rich white privilege that is making me say this, but I just think that the government shouldn't force you to do that. It just shouldn't. I agree it's morally obligatory. You should do it, but you should not have to do it at gunpoint or jail point from the government. So that's what I think about that. All right, Sink or Swim says, do you feel as if you could do more for your in-laws in trade for housing? I sort of agree that families help each other in times of need, but it seems that if you are staying rent-free, you should go out of your way to make their lives easier in every other way, since it's putting them out. Not paying for housing in order to pay off your student loans is definitely not a need, it's a luxury. To which Rebecca Christopher says, I too am curious. You don't pay rent because I assume they own the house outright by now. Do you guys pay utilities, water, electric, trash, etc.? These are good points and good questions. So the house that my parents-in-law own is across the street from the house that they also own and live in. Yes, they do own the house outright that we are living in. So it's not like we're putting them out in that sense. Like they already own the house, so they're not losing any money by us living there. And we also are paying all of our utilities. So we will be paying for our heat. We pay for all of our electricity and all of that. So it actually isn't costing them anything. It's not an inconvenience like whatsoever for us to live there, if that makes sense. And also, there's one little way that I do help out by living here, and that's just helping out around the farm when my father-in-law needs it. I can't really say that it's a big help, though, just because I'm not around that much with free time. But if it's like on a weekend or something and he'll come over and say, hey, can you come over and help me with this? Then obviously I do. So that is one way that I try to help out, but I don't really count that as like contributing because it's completely sporadic and I'm not around that much. But yeah, that's the thing, is that we're paying all the utilities. They own the house outright. They aren't hurting for money, I promise you. So yeah, it's not really that inconvenient for us to live here, I guess. So yeah. Sarah Wood says, I love these heart-to-heart video chats, Joe. Thank you, Sarah. You know, I was thinking about that the other day. Like, sometimes I just wish that we could all, like, hang out, like, have a get-together and just chill, you know? So, someday I hope that I can meet some of you or something. I don't know. It'd be really cool. Because, yeah, I really enjoy the interaction. I really like having a small channel like this where I feel like we have kind of a community going. So thank you, Sarah. I feel the same.
Cup of Joe.
Hand Stitched Life says, how does your minimalism compare to the zero waste movement? Is anything comparable? Could you see yourself moving towards that? Okay, so if you don't know what the zero waste movement is basically trying to get down as much as possible to not producing any waste. So not buying anything in packaging that you'll have to throw away or anything like that, trying to get down to zero waste. And yes, Hand Stitched Life, the zero waste movement, like, so completely is in line with minimalism. It's crazy. And I definitely see myself getting down to this someday. Right now, it's not on our priority list just because, especially with me being the resident minimalist in the house and I'm out working outside the house. So Aaron's kind of in charge of like all the groceries and like all the, I don't know, house stuff. So I feel like it will definitely have to be a team effort. So eventually, if hopefully we can get out of debt and I can maybe work less or find an alternative way of working online or something that I don't have to be out of the house so much, I definitely think this is something that we are going to make a priority and try to get to. I know for me personally, I do think about this in my day-to-day purchases. I do think about trying to buy something that at least can I recycle what it's in or something like that. And I'm trying to instill in our kids an idea of not wasting or recycling, you know, reusing paper, drawing on the other side, that kind of stuff. So that is something that, yeah, zero waste is so awesome. And so one of those things I'm like, oh, I wish I could just be there right now. But I'm not there yet, and it's not on our top priority list yet, but it will be there eventually. So thank you guys so much for all of your questions and comments. Let me know down below if you have any other comments, questions. I'm pretty much an open book, so whatever you want to know, you let me know, and then I will let you know. So thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful and blessed day.
I want to be a cup of Joe. Your first sip in the morning. You get your going ritual and won't be sold from within. Let me be a cup of Joe. Your first sip in the morning.
Love you, bye.
Baby, take me as I am.